Hey guys, so in this video, I just wanted to do a technical overview. Now, I know Tesla had their earnings today, and it's pretty much flat for the most part. And there's enough Elon fanboys out there who are making Tesla videos. I'm not gonna make another Tesla video. So I'm just gonna go straight into the technicals. So if I'm just looking at the market as a whole, I mean, there are a lot of stocks that broke their 50-day moving average to the upside, but I am seeing quite a bit of frothiness in the market right now. So we're just gonna start with SPY. So I'm just gonna go on this lower time frame. So on this lower time frame, you can kind of see right here when I zoom out just a wee bit, we're in this rising wedge pattern. So you guys can see, top, 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 top right there. And here's the bottom, it's catching this. We had this strong sell to the downside. That was on the Apple News. And then, we rallied back up. And then we can kind of see that we're falling out of this wedge right now. So, it's a little bit curious where are we going to go right now. If we're taking a look at the risk range, well, we can see that the upper risk range is 393.97. So we are actually above that right now. So if we're looking on the 1 year time frame, now let me just get rid of this line right here and right there. We did break out of this longer term falling wedge. And if I look at the Bollinger Bands, we are peaking out of the Bollinger Bands, as you guys can see. So, we did actually come down and retest the top of this trend line. So, you know what? The technicals do look kind of bullish. But, if I'm just looking at this move right here, I mean, this is kind of a rising wedge. So I could do this. Whoop. And then I could also do that. So, guys, I'm not calling for a crash or anything. All I'm saying is that we are very, very frothy right now. And I do feel like we could pull back just a wee bit. And, next week, we have interest rate hikes, all of that stuff, mega cap earnings, GDP numbers. So I feel like either the end of this week or next week could be a good week where we just pull back a little bit or a lot of it. So that I'm not too sure about, but I do know that right now we are frothy. We're above the upper risk range. We're above these Bollinger Bands. We're in a rising wedge right now. And, we could just go and fill this gap real quick. That's entirely a possibility. But, we could also fade right here. So that's what I have to say about SPY. Now the Qs actually do look a little bit better. So let's just go out on this 1 year time frame here. And let's just look at this move right here. So we are kind of breaking out. And let me just throw on the Bollinger Bands. So here on the Bollinger Bands, we're really peaking out of these Bollinger Bands here. So the Qs are overbought in my opinion. If we're looking at the upper risk range for the Qs, it's 373. We're at 303.03. Now, if I'm looking right here and I'm zooming in, we did actually fill this gap right here. So that is that gap right around 299. And now we're kind of peaking above that gap. And we're essentially, we could possibly go and retest this right here, 307.51. But, that's going to depend a lot on earnings here. Now, if I'm looking on a shorter time frame like the 5-day right here, I'm going to take out these Bollinger Bands. Now, we're just kind of moving in this channel right here, as you guys can see. So top, 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 and then bottom, bottom. We had that strong sell-off. So, we could just fade a little bit. We'll see if we bounce right around 299.24. So what I think could happen is, we could just come back home to that gap zone area right around 299.24. And then we'll see if we produce a bounce from there. So that's what I'm looking for on the Qs. Just, just a little fade right here, like 1% fade, and then see if we bounce off of that gap zone. Now IWM, Oh boy. So IWM, we have this resistance line right here. We have the support line right here. We broke out, as you guys can see. And we're basically in between this area right here. So this was the prior gap zone, which actually got filled a while back. Now we broke past this gap zone and we're right in between here. So, we could just go a little bit more and we could see this 184 on IWM, or we could just fade right here. So I do want to note that, we are above this trend line that, it's been around since March, or basically the end of March. And, we've just been fading since. So let's take a look at this move. So if we're just looking at the Bollinger Bands, this is a very, very strong break out of the upper Bollinger Band. Now let's also take a look at the expected moves. So the expected move right here on IWM, it's 178.07. So we're pretty well above that. So what do I think could happen? Well, you know what? If we do fade a little bit off here, what we could end up seeing is, let's see, let's go back onto the yearly time frame. We could possibly reject right here, and then we could try and retest this trend line or this gap zone right here, this prior gap zone. So we'll see if we come back down to 179.36. That could entirely happen. Or like I said, the other scenario, we could just go and fill this gap real quick. Now, if I'm looking at XLF, I'm going to zoom out a little bit here. We did break out of this falling wedge right here. There was another resistance line right here, which we are kind of running into, and we did kind of break above. Now we're running into this 50-day moving average at 32.74. We are literally 1 cent away from being on the 50-day moving average. So that's a pretty interesting development right there. As you guys can see, this 20-day moving average is curling. And let's go ahead and look at the Bollinger Bands. So if we're looking at the Bollinger Bands here, we're essentially at the top of the Bollinger Bands, slightly peeking out. Now Apple, oh boy, there is so much going on Apple. I'm going to need to delete some of these. So first things first, the one thing I want to show you guys on Apple is, I'm going to zoom out a little bit. So we have this trend line right here. So this trend line's been going on for a while. So, back here in 2020, we had support, 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 support. Now resistance right here, as you guys can see, look where this trend line is right now. It is right on the actual price action right here, as you guys can see. So let me just kind of trace that out for you guys again. It's right here. It's going right there. Rejection right there. Look where we're at right here. We are right on that trend line. This also intersects with the top of this trend line right here. Now I know there's a lot going on in this chart, but I need all of these lines to be here because they're all important. Well, maybe not this one. Maybe not this one. And you know what? Maybe not even this one. So I lied. I needed most of those lines. So essentially that's what we're looking at right there. Pretty strong resistance could show up right here on Apple right now. Now, if we're just looking at a shorter time frame right here, actually, let's go and look at the 1 month. So if we're just looking at the 1 month, we do have this trend channel, and we are at the top of this trend channel. Now, like I said, that the top of this trend channel also lines up with this longer term support trend line, which is now going to act as resistance. So honestly, just the way that we've just been hanging on to the top of this trend line, if we do fall, we could fall quite a bit. And I'm talking like we could go all the way down to like 145 if we decide to fade hard. Now, wouldn't surprise me if, some piece of news drops perfectly right around tomorrow or something and we get some hard selling off. So, definitely be a little bit careful right here. Apple is pretty overextended right now. So let's just go ahead, look at the Bollinger Bands. Like we're way up there on the Bollinger Bands. If we're looking at the expected move, we actually are not too high on the expected move. But keep in mind that Apple was already pretty overbought going into this week. So the expected move to the upside was actually 155.15. So, we still have a little bit more room. And yeah, like I said, the biggest thing right here is this former trend line right here, this trend line right here, and they're intersecting. It's going to be strong resistance. And we're already pretty overbought right now. So definitely watch out for that. And we did break above this double top area, but sometimes you do see a double top where, the second time around it's slightly higher. So definitely watch out, you guys. I do believe that Apple is due for a pretty strong pullback. I'm not talking crash, I'm just talking like maybe from here to here possibly. Amazon. So Amazon, it's looking pretty damn bullish right now, but I do want to say it is breaking pretty badly out of this Bollinger Band right here. So I do feel like, it's due for a pullback here. And, maybe that pullback can just be right back onto this trend line right here. So if we're just looking at this trend line, resistance, 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 fake out, massive fall right here, resistance, strong fall, and breakout. So as you guys can see on this breakout, serious buying, breaking out of this Bollinger Band. Now, if we're looking at Amazon, let's look at the upper risk range on Amazon. Let's see, where are we? It's 118.68. So we are pretty overbought right now. We are at 122.77. So, this could actually have a little bit more legs. Maybe it could go all the way back to possibly right here around 126-ish. So, that would be trying to form like a double top from this old area right there. If I'm just zooming out, looking what's actually there, there's not a whole lot there. But, getting over this double top could act as pretty serious resistance. It also does come pretty close to this prior gap zone. So, if we do break above this level right here, we could try and get to the bottom of this gap zone right here, which would kind of line up with this 100-day moving average. So that would be pretty close to around 130, 131-ish. So, if we do see some more upside, that could happen. But at that point, it would be pretty overbought unless we do see some cooling off here in the near term. Let's take a look at Microsoft. So Microsoft actually isn't at the top of the Bollinger Band. So, maybe Microsoft can do a little run here. We'll see. If we're looking at the upper risk range on Microsoft, it's 265.24. So, we have a little bit of room to go up without being seriously overbought. So as you guys can see, we're kind of hanging out in the middle of these Bollinger Bands. We are ever so slightly above the 50-day moving average. 260.41 is where we are looking. We did break this downtrend, as you guys can see. So we did have this little downtrend. We broke above it. And, we could just entirely just go sideways a little bit here. And then maybe we could try and make a retest of these highs right around here at 269. So that could be our resistance area right there. So looking at Tesla, Tesla, there's a lot going on here. The earnings were pretty damn mixed. So, I'm not surprised that it's pretty flat right now. And the one thing I do want to note here is that, Tesla was kind of at the top of the Bollinger Bands, and we are still in this wedge right here, as you guys can see. So we do have this little wedge right here. Pretty strong resistance shows up right around 760, and the next line of resistance is going to be right around 791.71. So I honestly don't know what's going to happen with Tesla tomorrow, but let's say we do fade. I mean, if we do fade, there is some pretty strong support right around 700. And, if we do fade below that, it could just be this bottom trend line right here. So maybe like 790 or something. If we do rally, then 791.71 or possibly 760. Now, let's look at the VIX. So if we're looking at the VIX right now, we do have this bottom support line right here, which, we're pretty darn close to. We could maybe rally a little bit on SPY and then see if we could produce a bounce from here that could possibly get us back to 26-ish, maybe like 27, who knows. But we did close underneath the 200-day moving average at 24.12. So if we do continue this downtrend on the VIX, then I would think that the SPY and the Qs, the IWM will get seriously overextended. And that could be pretty bad because if any news does drop, we could see quite a large sell-off. So I would think it's a little bit more healthy for the market if we just start pulling back right now. And now if VIX does start falling more, we do have support. It does show up right around maybe like the high 21s, low 22s. Looking at VXN is NASDAQ volatility. This is looking pretty darn interesting. And like I told you guys, I've been watching this for a while. So we do have the support line right here. It lines up with this 200-day moving average. It's going to be right around 29.46. We are pretty dang close to that. So, if we just fall 1 point on VXN, we'll basically be right at that strong support level. Notice that it lines up with this support right here. It lines up with this support right there. It lines up with the 200-day moving average. So I do feel like the Qs could maybe just inch up a little bit more, and then we could see some sort of sell-off. We could see the VXN bounce. So that's just my thoughts. It doesn't have to happen. And that's pretty much all I got for you guys on the technicals. Stay careful, you guys. There is a lot of frothiness in this market right now. Do not chase some of these stocks. That's pretty much all I got to say for you guys. And I hope you guys have a good one.